Good morning. Welcome to the Dirt Podcast. I'm Coach Lindsay.
And I'm Coach Loretta.
And
I'm,
oh, go ahead.
I'm Coach Scott.
I was going to introduce. We have Coach Scott with us, and he's a very accomplished runner and one of our coaches with Ornery Mule, and he has a ton of experience and one of my favorite people to see at a race. So, welcome on the podcast.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to be with you too. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And we were just, before we jumped on, we were just talking a little behind the scenes. Lindsay and Scott both had the opportunity to run Badger 100 together. So that's cool too.
Yes, and Lindsay was at the very front of the pack winning, and I was at the very back of the pack getting the big buckle. So we covered both ends, I think, Lindsay. Great job.
Thank you. We did. And I got to go to the finish line the next morning, and I got to see Scott finish, which was really cool too. And I mean, he looked strong coming in. So congrats on that. And yeah, no matter how long you're out there, it's always a tough race. I kind of want to know, touching on Badger for a minute, especially since we have so many Midwest listeners. I loved the course. I
Me too.
loved it. I know it can be really hot. We actually had a pretty good weather year.
So good.
I think most people would say we had an ideal weather year. It was humid, of course, but it was ideal weather. And I actually really enjoyed there's the detour that goes through some hills instead of straight through a tunnel. And to me, that saved my legs. I'm curious, did you like it?
I liked it the first time, but then you
Not the
have to go
second and
back
third
and do it
time.
again. It was interesting. I mean, it got to be kind of grueling as it got hot,
Oh yeah.
out there baking in the sun. But it was interesting to have it mixed up a little bit because, yeah, I agree with you. The same repetitive motion on that flat terrain over and over and over for so long can be really rough. So
Right,
having a little bit of a break was good. But
right.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. I highly recommend that race. I think that Scott, the race director, is hoping to have that tunnel redone by next time. But again, if it's not, I actually really enjoyed it. So don't let that deter you if you're considering Badger and it's not ready. But supposedly the tunnel is flat and it goes straight through. So highly recommend.
I really loved it, and I loved that there was the Ornery Mule crew out there.
Oh yes.
There was the Ornery Mule aid station, which was so good, so
Oh
nice,
yes.
really fun Western theme going, and it was
Hmm.
it was a lot of fun to see them.
Yes, Michelle had the aid state. I mean, I think Michelle was maybe out there the entire time. Was she? She was out there every time I passed, and just showing no signs of stopping. So, and I know Scott does the aid station for her at Hennepin, the 10 junk miles one there. So I love that they're both big race directors in the Midwest, but also support each other. So that's a really cool thing to see. So go support both of them, of course.
I agree. Really cool.
I have
Hmm.
an athlete out there too, and I got a picture from Michelle, and she's like, Tom says to tell Loretta I'm doing great. So because sometimes as a coach, we're waiting and waiting and waiting to hear from our athletes, right? To see how they're doing because they're out there working and they can't always respond to a text or tell you how they're doing. And so it's nice to get little notes from people saying that, they saw someone and.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Michelle was being kind of the relay person. I got a couple of those. She's like, Loretta's tracking. And she's, doing great. I'm like, I don't even bring my phone. I'm like, good.
Oh yes, I was tracking furiously, like, okay, where's she at? Where's she at?
I love that. Yeah, it was a really fun weekend. So happy to be on the other side of it. And Scott, I hope you're recovered well too.
I feel great.
Good.
Yeah.
So today we thought it would be fun to kind of, I guess, let's say in the honor of school going back, we're going to do a little bit of show and tell. Talk about what our favorite, I guess, running gadgets, gear are. I'm kind of a gadget junkie. I didn't realize that until I posted a reel yesterday and somebody pointed it out. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You're right. It's true. So, who would like to start with one of their favorite tools, gadgets, gear that you like for running?
I'll start because I got a new one, so let me grab it. This is a brand new one and it's in the box still, but probably if I had to tell anyone that loves adventuring, the main thing I would recommend getting is one of these, and it's the water filter that you can just snap on your bottle. So I've used this all over the mountains. I've tested it in some pretty gnarly puddles. And this is just the Hydro Pack one. But if you know that you're going to be in a place, like I'm going to probably go climb a 14er around here next week, and this will be in my pack for
Hmm.
sure. There's tons of different options, but if you know that you're going to be in a place where there's not a water fountain
Hmm.
or a questionable water source, definitely bring one of these. It is your biggest survival hack, and it can definitely save you, especially if you need some water. And this one's good because it just snaps onto any like water bottle or mouth of a bottle. But there's others where you can push it through the system and you can put it in a different bottle. But I like this one because it's just a cap and you drink out of it as normal.
Okay. Can you hold it up so we can see it?
Yeah, here. This one's the Hydro Pack one.
Okay.
Solomon has one that's about double the price, but they're all very similar. But it tells you all that it filters out, which is kind of a lot and pretty impressive. E. coli, parasitic cysts, like tons of stuff that it can filter out of water. So I'm sure nothing's perfect, but I have not had any issues, knock on wood, drinking out of some questionable sources with it.
It's kind of a universal fit for water bottles.
Yeah, that one's for like a standard like soft flask type.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I do have another one. It's just it takes you longer to use, but it's a like a pump one where you can put it on another one and then just pump the liquid through
Hmm.
it.
Okay.
It does take a little bit longer, but you can put that on other bottles where you can just sift it through if it doesn't fit the mouth.
Okay. Love it.
Hmm.
Great
Hmm.
tip. All right, Scott, what do you have?
Okay, so Loretta, you might know about this thing. This is the H drop
Nice.
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
sweat sensor, sweat monitor. This little gadget slides on your arm or wherever you slide it all the way up. I just tuck it under my sleeve so it's pretty high.
Hmm.
And it works with an app on your phone and it measures sweat rate and sodium loss and potassium loss.
Hmm.
And so it's really cool. I just got this and I was using this at Badger and it was really, really interesting. The way I used it was I set the timer on my phone for 60 minutes and I started the thing recording. And then after an hour, I would click, end the workout and tabulate the results
Mhm.
and then see what I had lost in the last hour because
Hmm.
I could begin to replace that. And I was just shocked at how much I was sweating
Hmm.
and how much I was losing sodium and potassium wise.
Mhm.
Hmm.
And it was such a range. It varied totally based on like conditions and effort level. But
Right,
I was losing between like, maybe like 8 and 44 ounces per hour of
right.
Yeah.
sweat.
Yep.
Yeah.
And sodium loss was like between 300 and 1300. And my potassium was at least a couple hundred per hour. And
Okay.
it was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, I have really got to get sodium and potassium, get my electrolytes back in because I am really going through it, much more quickly than I had ever imagined was possible. And I'm not a heavy sweater and I'm not a salty sweater, but man.
Hmm.
And so as I was doing that and trying to recover, it was like, Tailwind doesn't have that much sodium in it,
Yeah,
but Element has 1,000.
I
And
love Ella.
I'm not a big fan of Element, but
I
I'm
love
using
it.
it because if I'm losing 1,300 per hour, I need to get at least one Element plus.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I used it in that way to try to monitor and learn about what was going on. And it really, really made a difference because my stomach never turned. It never got crazy on me. I
Hmm.
kept eating the whole time. I was just solid, felt good, no muscle cramps, no problems. And I was running way deep in the race. I always like slow down and get to kind of that, power
Yeah.
at some point, usually in 100. But I ran into the 80s, into the 90s. I ran into the hundreds.
You ran into the finish.
I just kept going, and I felt really good. I didn't feel like I was just wrecked at the end. I wasn't. Oh, and I didn't get any dehydration, related blistering and black
Hmm.
boils and any of that stuff. I was super solid. I was really, really amazed with it. And so um, I would also mention that the app has a like I think what do they call it? Like a like a product finder. There's a little feature where it ranks like 82 different electrolyte and sodium replacement type products,
Mm,
like from water all the way up to like element and then some that are even saltier. So that
right.
you can see, okay, my sweat rate is this much sodium per hour and this much potassium. It allows you to find a product that would work for you during that given time. And so I realized like at night when I wasn't really, burning through a lot of electrolytes, I could get by with Tailwind or something else, easy.
Hmm.
But during the parts of the day where I was like burning up more and was working harder, then I really needed to switch products probably.
Right.
Right.
Just use Tailwind all the way through.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And I think, we talk about that a little bit when we're thinking about deciding how much replacement we need per hour is, doing sweat tests in the nighttime when it's cooler or when in the heat of the day, as it changes. And so you were able to do that automatically. I haven't used mine in a while, but I have used it in the past and I've had some athletes that also use it. They were working and I don't know that they still are. There was going to be a beta out there where a coach could actually monitor it because that's what I really wanted. I wanted my crew to see it, not me to have to deal with trying to
oh
Right.
do the
yeah,
calculation piece. And so that was
yeah.
something that I was hoping that they would get is that I could just say, okay, link this to my crew and they, can take care of it, which would be really slick, I think.
Yeah, that would be
Oh,
cool to have like another set of eyes on it.
yeah.
But speaking on what you said, Scott, with the t so many athletes use Tailwind, they like the flavor and all of this. But I try to tell them like, we have to supplement because no matter who you are, I think you're probably going to sweat more than you think that you do.
Yeah.
And as great as Tailwind is, it's not going to get you through a 100 miler with just that alone.
Right.
So everyone always asks me like, what's the best electrolyte? And I'm like, the one that you're gonna take. Like, first of all, if I hate swallowing pills, so I refuse to like that's not one that's an option for me. I will choke. I happen to love Element, and a lot of my athletes hate it. It's so salty. But something I recommend is putting even half a pack in your Tailwind. Is kind of a good disguise for it. A lot of people hate the salt, just the salt water, but to me, that's like the best taste ever. So
Yeah.
uh, there's lots of options if you need a salt. Actually at Badger, I loved that Salt Stick was the sponsor, and they had the individual wrapped sample packs of the chews.
Doable.
And
Yeah.
those are, yeah, that was great. But those are
Yeah.
less salt, but they're very easy to eat.
Easy to chew.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's 50 milligrams
Hmm. Hmm.
per tablet. And so two come in a pack. So that's only 100 and I needed
Right.
1,500 per hour. So that was
Exactly. Yeah,
20,
they're much less,
20.
but it's a good. I use those at night. So I actually grabbed a
Yeah.
handful and just stuck them in my pocket for the
Mhm.
nighttime. And I
Me
was like, oh,
too.
it's something
Me
to do.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
So, and another thing
So,
I love that you said, Scott, is that how good you felt. And so that's
oh,
one of
good.
the things I try to describe to athletes, right? So we can have these really, really big highs and we can have these really big lows. But if we can balance our nutrition, our hydration, our electrolytes, it's going to be more even, right? The whole race is going to be
Hmm.
even. You're going to feel good. You're not going to go up and down. Those are my best
Yeah.
Hmm.
races, is when I can keep that even. So it
Yeah.
sounds like you were able to sort of nail that on that day. So
Yeah.
pretty
I felt
exciting.
really good. It was great data and I'm looking forward to using it again and again. I tell athletes, endurance running involves making sure all the dials and needles and gauges are in the right range all the time. And when one starts to go a little bit haywire, you got to get it back in check so that it
Hmm.
doesn't trigger a whole bunch of other things falling apart.
Right.
And I never knew about sodium. I never knew really where I stood or with potassium. I never knew. I mean, I didn't have horrendous problems, but I never was sure. But now I have at least some data that I can use. And if you're
To
a
Right.
go.
data geek, this thing is pretty darn awesome
It
to
is.
go back and look at it later on. I measured every hour, so I've got these chunks of data that I can now compare and see, what
Hmm.
happened over time and how it went. So
And it's cool
Very
because
cool.
nice charts in there too, so you can visually see all
yeah,
that stuff
it's
really
it's
easy.
really cool. It's really cool. The downside is it gives you one more thing to worry about.
Yeah,
And it is expensive. It's $250 for this little gadget.
yeah.
Hmm.
And you have to be a data geek and you have to have your phone with you to be able to really use the data during the run.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
So
Mm.
there's downsides to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Loretta, what do you have for us?
Geez, I don't know what to pick first. We all really thought differently in what we're picking, so I think that's pretty exciting. So, let's see. I'll start out with my wave tool.
Ooh.
my CBD that goes with it. So I really like the wave tool. I use this for kind of breaking up muscle adhesions, right? So you can do this on your around your calves, around your quads, just light strokes down, light strokes up. And I like to put some CBD or some kind of essential oil so it glides, so you're not scraping your leg all up. But it's something that's nice you can throw in your pack. So if you're starting to have a little issue out on the trail, you can do a little bit of scraping and you can sometimes fix that. I actually just sent a video to somebody the other day who did not have a wave tool, and so I used the back of a spoon and showed them how to use it, doing
Yeah.
like of a spoon, because there are ways to get around it, but I do think it's helpful, and the people that do start using it or a tool similar notice the difference, and so easy to pack, easy quick fix for some little niggles that might be going on. I'm sure Lindsay probably could even talk more. You probably use this in massage or something like
Yeah. Well, the original
it's
was
like a
kind of
Graston tool.
yeah, I was about to say the original kind of scraping tool was the Graston tool that was big in like chiropractic and massage use for a long time. I'm a massage therapist, so I use a lot of that kind of thing too. I have, and I used to keep it in my pack as well. I have basically like just a gua sha, which is a smaller version of that. That now is really trendy to use on your face, but for the longest time, it's been, used for muscles and things like that. But it is really good. Breaking up any sort of adhesions while you're running or even in post recovery is perfect. If you're going to slap some Tiger Balm or Icy Hot on or something, use the tool with it because it will help the recovery and you're getting a little bit more benefit out of it. But yeah, that's one of the best tools you can have as a runner. And I see so many different types of them. That one's really cool because you can tell where it has little cutouts for different parts of the body, and I can tell that would feel amazing on my Achilles or my shin.
They're not cheap either. They're like $50, but
Yeah,
they're one of the best tools I've ever gotten because
yeah,
I use it frequently because it doesn't take me a lot of time. I can just grab, I'm like something's bugging me. I can just grab it, do a little
right.
tooling, and I feel good. Now the mistake that some people make is tooling too hard. So it's not really
Mhm.
like a digging motion. It's more of a nice, three strokes down, three strokes up, nice and light. Now sometimes
Right,
PT that will dig in a little bit more, but that's not something you want to do all the time because it can cause a little bit more irritation.
right. It's such a good tool. And again, I use that in my massage therapy practice with on other clients. Amazing. I didn't even think about it, but while I'm that goes hand in hand, another gadget I could grab, but I'll just talk about it quickly is a cupping set. And you don't have to be a professional to know how to use a cupping set. They have some very forgiving ones that are silicone that you just squeeze on. And it's along the same recovery lines. But if you've got a niggle that you need to kind of get some blood flow to, it's the best way to just pump. What a cupping system does is it pulls blood to the area that's affected, and then you release it kind of like a tourniquet. And that's a much quicker way of putting blood to an injury or to a problem area. And it's been used in, Chinese medicine for who knows how long, but we use cupping a lot in recovery and things like that. But you have suction ones that you can use with a gun. You can go get them done where they use a flame, actually, is the original way that it started to get the suction. Or the very safe, easy, foolproof way is these silicone cups that are great.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that because I was trying to decide which ones, and I'm like, should I choose the wave tool? And Derek's like, don't you really like cupping? I'm like, well, I do, but I can't choose both because I'm trying to choose three. But cupping is also another one of my favorites. And I also have, by the same company, I have a set of cups that are by Wave,
There you
and
go.
there's 6 cups in there that you just press on. So I love it because
Mhm.
Huh.
myself, even if it's on my back, I can push it and I can get it
Yep.
in. So I have the other set where you kind of pump it, but it's a little harder for
Yeah.
me myself, especially if it's like on my,
Right.
so yeah, I think that that's a really great thing too. So thanks for,
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Lindsay, did you have something else you
I've
needed to
got one in my cart right
from?
Oh,
now.
cool. There you go. Yeah, we
Shoes
can take
on.
them. And the great thing about those tools is you can take them anywhere, like the scraping and the cupping system. So that's great.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I have just this, which is I also think very handy for
Yeah.
any runner. This is my favorite one to run with, but it's the reflective gear that
Mhm.
you definitely need to be running with if you're running on roads or anything like that. And a lot of times we think about things to improve our running, but just being safe, I think, is a good starter for gadgets. We all kind of think we're invincible, but especially running in LA, so I kind of avoid road running because obviously the traffic and the cars here are crazy. But anytime I run on the road, I try and have a reflective vest like this that really keeps you safe and seen. And for many races, they're now becoming mandatory, like Badwater and the Keys 100 both make you wear these in the daytime. And then at night, you have to have a whole different system. But yeah, definitely. And then I know Bob Becker, who's the race director at the Keys, started implementing that after some horrific things happened in the Keys race out of the race director's control where a runner was hit. So now a lot of these races that run on the road are making this sort of mandatory. So it's a good thing to practice with and make sure you have one that you like that doesn't cause chafing and things like that.
And I wore one as I was running across the state because there were,
Mhm.
parts where I was running on sections of road. But you want to have a crew that tells you when you have it on the wrong way. Like I wore it backwards forever. I'm like, look back at pictures. I'm like, why didn't somebody tell me I had the sign wrong?
They're like it was reflective. That's all we know.
Here, I didn't know.
It
Yeah.
probably didn't come with instructions.
Right. Exactly.
Flip it on.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah. So Scott, what do you have?
Oh, Loretta, you know what I have. You
Yes, I
guessed.
do. I do. I should
The
have brought mine
Gym Boss,
here.
the Gym Boss Charge Interval Timer. Okay, this little guy is my favorite, and we've done a podcast that we went into this extensively. But this thing allows you to time your run walk intervals. You can set it for whatever length you want. It beeps or vibrates, or beeps and vibrates. It's backlit, it's rechargeable, it's really great. And I would recommend this one over the one that just uses regular battery. This one's only a few bucks more, and you would
Hmm.
charge it up, you're ready to go, and it lasts for a whole 100 miler, no problem.
Wow.
And it's great because you don't have to worry about your watch. Some people use the intervals on their watch, but you don't have to flip through screens and do anything funny with your watch. You can just let your watch run, let this thing run, clip it on to wherever, on your pack or whatnot. It's got like a little clip on it. And it's super simple, super easy, rock solid, really common. Some of the downsides are, a lot of people have these, and at the beginning of the race, before you're all stretched out, you've really got to watch because everybody's timer is beeping and beeping
Yeah.
all around you like crickets all around, and it's hard to even know which one is yours unless you're looking at it and saying, "Oh, okay." But this is a great little device on a flat trail, like a rail trail, like Badger. It was great.
Hmm.
It's not great in the mountains. It's not great on anything that's highly technical where you have to allow the course to dictate your effort
Run well.
level and pace. Um, but it can really help you get to the end of a 100 miler by managing your heart rate, because the interval you get a break every 3 or 4 minutes, however you have it set, and it allows your heart rate to stay managed and within range rather than spiking and then you crash and then you just want to give up.
Right.
Right.
And also late in the race, all you got to do is run 3 minutes when this thing beeps. You
Yeah.
psych yourself up to run 3 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I like about it is it kind of gives yourself permission that that's your race strategy, right? That you're planning
Yeah,
to run walk and it's telling you to do that. So you're
yeah,
not feeling like you're getting in a position that you have to walk because you have to walk. It's you're walking because you have to because that's your race strategy, right?
Right.
You start
and
that.
you're using that 1 minute or whatever you have it set for to check your gear, zip, unzip, eat, drink,
Mhm.
stop, manage yourself so that all those dials and gauges are in the right place. If you have some chafing starting, you quick lube it up or whatever, it's self-care every few minutes, which is
Hmm.
really what you need to
Right.
Yeah.
do this, so
Yeah. I actually saw, and we've been talking a lot about this interval stuff, Loretta and I have, and, working with our athletes. And it's something that I have inadvertently or not planned on doing, but inevitably at the end of a 100 miler, you're doing the run walk anyway. So at Badger, I actually did a 4-1 starting from mile 50 because I was just toast. I was pushing so hard. I was like, I've got to figure out a method here. So I did the 4-1, but I'm just using my watch. So daytime, it's easy. Nighttime, I hate checking my watch. I don't wear a headlamp either, right? So I use it around my waist, so I can't see my watch. Like, so at night that would be extra helpful. But I think it goes to show that, and I actually saw maybe it was a Runner's World article yesterday, but talking about this method and how it's making like a comeback because it used to be really popular in the original running craze. But now people from the front of the pack to the back of the pack are using this method, and it's really helpful. So having a gadget like this is really great. And I hear the beeps all around me too. I'm like, oh, people are on it.
Yeah.
That simplifies it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. And it's
Yep.
interesting because, there are some common intervals, 3 and 1, 4 and 1, 4 and 2,
Hmm.
So you kind of leapfrog back and forth with people that are doing it. And so it kind of creates like a social thing, like, oh, hey, okay, tag, you're it, hey.
Yep.
It kind of creates a little bit of social interaction too, I think, which is also helpful. And if
Yeah.
you end up syncing up with somebody who's on your same intervals, now all of a sudden you've
A
got a
running buddy.
group, you've got
Yeah.
a
Right.
tribe who's doing this with the same method. So,
Right.
Right. It is
and
fun.
I
Yeah.
I never thought this. I thought, no way, this is just silly. No, 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 I'm not going to do this. But a friend of mine asked me to be with her and run with her for her first 50 at Tunnel Hill. And I think I told Loretta this story. And I said, how are you going to do it? And she said, intervals. And I was like, great, let's do it. And inside I was thinking, oh no. But we did it. And not only did I have my fastest 50 split, I was strong enough to be able to run the whole second half continuously because I didn't have the timer then. It was her timer.
Right.
And she finished her 50, and I then was able to keep running and ran really well. And that was my fastest 100.
That's awesome. Very cool.
And when it
And
was finished,
run
I
their
thought, I
fast.
got to get this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I've
was,
had people run their fastest using it as well. But I was going to tell the first time I used it, they vibrate too, and I didn't realize that. And I had it clipped on my shorts, and when it happened, I didn't know what was going on. I'm like, what is happening to me? It took me a while to like not jump every time it vibrated. I wasn't
That's
prepared.
that's awesome.
So, okay, so all right, mine's going to be a little bit different. This is Revive. So, I've been using this for a few years. And this is for women. And because I had a problem with leaking, so I'm just going to unbox it so you can kind of see. So, it's basically a pessary that you stick in, and it helps to hold the urethra so you don't leak. And this is something I do not go without. I mean, I can run without this, but this makes it so I don't have to think about it. I don't have to
Right.
worry that I'm going to have any issues. I started using it when doing 24-hour races because I was having so much problems going to the bathroom constantly, and my shorts were getting wet, and of course they were getting stinky, and then I was getting chafed, and that changed my life. So I highly recommend that if you have an issue, see a physical pelvic floor physical therapist, and this might
Yeah.
be a really good solution for you.
And I've had a lot of people talk to me. I've researched a ton, and Lord, I'm sure you know way more than I do going through it. But late in a race, I get where my bladder, I just have to pee every 5 seconds. It
Yeah.
feels like, and there's a thing called stress-induced incontinence
Yeah.
too, which a lot of runners get late in a race. And I mean, it makes total sense. Like your body's going through trauma, you're having water and fuel in it all day, and it's probably just forgetting how to function at this point. But so any sort of bladder issues, and especially for a woman on a trail or on a road, it's the worst thing because there's nowhere to go. Like it's a little easier at night, but for men, it's so much easier to deal with a pee problem.
Right.
But for women, it can be the most frustrating thing. And so any sort of work you can do on your pelvic floor or gadgets like that, I think need to be talked about more because it is the worst when you're trying to run and you just have to go. It's the worst.
It's the worst. And the solution that I had before that was use a tampon. Well, that is the worst awful thing to use when you don't need one. You know,
Right. No, use
and
that. Yeah.
when you're
The
changing
problem.
in the porta potties, it's just awful.
Ugh,
But
yeah.
if anybody's listening and they want to learn more about Revive, feel free to reach out to me. I do have a link to get you 15% off if you want to try it. And I mean, it changed my life. It really did.
Good. Yeah. Thank you for talking about that.
All right, Lindsay, what's up?
I had just two. So
Okay.
go ahead, Scott. I'm not a gadget person, so this is fun to see. Like I hate, not hate, but I don't gravitate toward gadgets normally. So this is fun to see everyone's things they like.
Right.
Loretta successfully guessed my first two items, but she did not anticipate that this was
Ah,
my item.
Oh, that's
Okay.
good.
So this is my favorite thing of all. These are my Lucky carbon fiber pulls. Okay. It's a Z pull. It's got a little carbide tip. It's super thin, super lightweight, and it has this little grip thing, this little glove that you use, and you've probably seen these out there.
Hmm.
And once you have this on, the pole is connected to it so it can swing, which
Hmm.
is really nice. And then you can release it with this little trigger thing.
Hmm.
So this is my favorite piece
Nice.
um, for anything in the mountains,
Hmm.
uneven terrain, anything technical, and even on flat trails.
Hmm.
So, I have to say that I do think this gives you a pretty good advantage because when you are sort of in that flight stage where both feet are off the ground, you're able to use your upper body to propel you forward just
Hmm.
a little bit each stride. And I think that adds up over the course of a race.
Right.
I think it probably adds up to, maybe a couple miles by the end.
Hmm.
Takes load off of your glutes, quads. It kind of allows you to sort of function a little bit better. And if you're, prone to tripping, going down, snagging a toe, it gives you an extra point of contact so that maybe you're not going to have that turn into a stumble and a face plant somewhere.
Right.
So, but the downside of this is, not everybody's comfortable with these. It gives you something else you have to deal with. One of my good friends, I haven't heard the story from her yet, but she was at Leadville and she was pushing cutoffs and she left the aid station. She left these behind. She went back to get them and they DNF'd her because she came back to the aid station after cutoff.
Yep.
So, it does pose that kind of a complication. And you have to have really good pole etiquette when you're in an aid station because when you're there, what are you going to do with them? I tuck them under my arm
Yeah.
and stuff, but then, you're swinging around, you're whacking people behind you. So you do have to have really good pole etiquette. You have to be comfortable with these things. I'm a skier. I've been skiing forever, so I'm very used to poles.
Right.
Me, it's a huge benefit, a huge piece to
Hmm.
have these
Hmm.
um, and a way to kind of navigate tough terrain and kind of get through stuff. And I love them. This is my favorite piece of kit aside from my pack, I would say.
I
Nice.
love that.
That much.
Yeah. And another thing to think about is if you're doing a race, make sure that they're allowed. There are some races
Yeah,
that do not allow poles, like Western states, for example.
correct.
There's
Hmm.
some other races that just don't allow poles because of maybe too many people and tearing up the
Yeah.
yeah.
Seriously.
So
I remember when I did Leadville, I didn't use poles. I don't train with them, so I didn't want to just break them out for a race. But I was maybe one of the only people that didn't have poles, and of course they would have probably helped. But Leadville actually has a rule opposite of that, where you can't pick up your poles. If you use poles, you have to take them from mile one. You can leave them, but you can't just pick them up on the course at any point. So definitely check out the rules on poles. And I always
Yeah,
encourage my athletes. They're like, "What do you think about poles?" I'm like, train with them first, and
right.
if you like them, there's no reason not to use them. Again, I'm just somebody that gadgets are something that I have to get used to, but they're so helpful. Definitely don't. I have an athlete who's doing a 200, and he's like, "Should I get some poles?" This is like a week before. I'm like, well, I
yeah,
need you to train with them first.
Right.
But they're super helpful. And
yeah,
definitely, those are great too because they collapse, correct,
yeah,
Scott?
yeah. It's a Z pole. Um, there's generally two. This
Hmm.
Lecky carbon fiber trail pole, and then there's the Black Diamond Carbon Z. A lot of people use those, and that pole has a grip down here. The grip extends down, which is
Mm.
great because when you're ascending, you choke up a little bit on the because it's when
Right,
the ground is going up away from you, you need to be able to reach it. So.
right.
But yeah, they're great. I would say if you're a pole person, don't cheap out. Get a
Get a
decent
good one.
lightweight carbon fiber. I would highly recommend.
Hmm.
The type that have like the little lever locks. They
Hmm.
tend to slide and get loosened up. But this thing, when it's all assembled, you really can't have it slide because it's like locked together.
Locked in.
Really, it's a good system. Um, so, I love these. They're easy, they fit in my pack. You know,
Hmm.
And I like
Yeah, very good.
not just practice using them, practice them assembling and disassembling, especially while you're
Yeah.
moving. Because I don't use poles a lot, but when I paste at Cocodona, I was using my poles, and I wasn't as adept as while we were moving, but
Hmm.
putting them apart and putting them together. So that would be something I would definitely recommend trying to.
Yeah,
Practicing.
got to
'Cause I had
practice.
Luckies and I had a little bit of trouble getting them to lock in. And so I'm like, oh, I should have practiced that a little bit more. I use black diamonds now, which I really like a lot. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, so great.
Yeah,
Right. So
It's a
my
good
last
tool.
thing,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Lindsay.
Oh, I was just saying that's a great tool. And people always ask me about polls, but I don't have a ton of experience. But I have recommended those because I like how you can store them if you would like, or and then the little glove system too. I know the hands take a
Yeah,
beating when you use them.
Yeah.
yeah.
We need from you, Scott, is you to
Yep.
do yourself a little video
You're
of
very
Yeah,
correct.
and giving
yeah,
tips of going up and down.
yes,
If
Yeah,
you ever want to, send it to me and I'll
yeah. Oh, I could do that. Sure.
yeah.
I mean, I've used poles for a
Well,
long, long, long
yeah.
time.
yeah. No, you'd be the perfect person to talk about them.
A lot
Mm,
of
I
people
love
always
them.
want to know how to use them, right?
You're
Because
right.
you
There
don't know
is a method to
how
it. You
it,
don't just like willy-nilly, you get
yeah,
into a rhythm with them, kind of like
Hmm.
cross-country skiing, how you see the poles, being used in connection with the stride.
right.
Right.
Because if you're not using them correctly, then it might not gain you as much. It might be more
Oh,
work than
it might be a hazard because you can be tripping on them. If
right,
you're not
right.
mindful of them, you can get them stuck in a crack between rock.
Oh.
Yeah,
You don't ever plant them if you're going across a boardwalk because they can like stick right into the crack of the boardwalk and then the pole is stuck there and you're connected to it and it
right,
stops you, so they can be a hazard if you're not really familiar with them.
right.
Right. All right. What you got, Loretta?
Okay, my last thing is microsport. So I'll
Mm.
tip this real quick. This is a microcurrent tool that I use for recovery. So it's
Mm.
often used with the professional athletes. I love it. It has pads that you use to put on to the area that you're working on, or you can
Love.
also submerge it in water. So like it can be used for delayed onset of muscle soreness, where you put it in the bathtub and you just put your cords in. Or recently I've
Huh.
been dealing with a little bit of a foot niggle, so I can just make a little bath of water and drop it in there. Well, it helps me to heal and recover, helps with getting rid of the inflammation. It's amazing. This unit actually can be programmed up to 99 different programs for different reasons. Mine has been specifically programmed to me and my needs as a runner, which I got this about 3 weeks before I crossed the state. And
Huh.
I'm not sure I would have crossed the state without it. Was having a lot of issues with my heel, started using it, and we figured out what was going on. I was able to feel good going to the start line of the FKT, and I used it throughout the time that I ran while I slept. I ran
Mhm.
it, and it helped me recover and heal, and was ready to go. And I mean, honestly, I was never had any muscle fatigue or soreness across the state of Michigan during and after. So it's been a really valuable tool. I think that Lindsay has some experience with some microcurrent,
Yeah.
also massage, because it's often commonly used in massage practices and chiropractic.
Huh.
Yeah, and I love tools like this because you can use it at like any time. Like you said, you sleep with it. You can use it while you watch TV. I think that one you can probably attach it and walk with it too. They have some you can where the little port is, you can just put it in your pocket, where you can just cook dinner and have it on and whatnot. So yeah, they're very helpful tools of recovering while you're doing other things. In the pandemic, I used to use it a lot when wasn't much going on. I would take a nap every day with it on.
Huh.
There's a lovely
Yeah,
program on this called anti-aging that you can sleep with at night, and it helps to reduce a lot of the inflammation. It's amazing. You feel really
yeah,
morning re-energized and just
yeah.
good. I think the owner has said it's been to 8 or 10 Super Bowls. Like so many NFL teams players are using them. So
I love that. Yeah, it's a great tool. I
like
always recommend that.
soon, but
Huh. Where do you find something like that, Loretta?
so they're not cheap also. This is a professional
Uh,
unit. The founder lives right here in Brighton, Michigan. And
oh.
so that's how I got connected. It's called Microsport. It was how PT. Her background is a physical therapist. And I mean, microcurrent has been around for years. She was using it back in the late 80s, 90s. But it was a much bigger, piece of equipment.
Hmm.
What she found is that people that were using it who understood how to program it with the right currents were getting really good results with their patients.
Right.
People that didn't know how to program it as well weren't doing as well with that. So she got this unit where she's, programmed it so it has the right frequencies that you need for the
Oh,
different, pieces. And with her background as the physical therapist, she understands the body so well. So
Yeah.
I'll go back just a second because when I was going across the state and I was having a heel issue, the first focus when I first got it was trying to fix the heel. So I was running programs on the heel and I'd be like, yeah, it feels a little bit better, but I would go to sleep and the next morning it would hurt again. And
oh,
so after a few days of that, she said, I want you to try something. And so she had me run some programs on my back. And I'm like, my heel doesn't hurt anymore. She's like, yeah. She's like, because it actually is stemming from your back. So,
Mm.
it's kind of interesting how the tool can work too to kind of figure out like what's going on too. So it's been super useful for me. But yeah,
wow.
I love that. It's a great tool.
yeah.
Wow.
So
So
I
interesting. I didn't know
that
anything
wrap
about
up our
that.
show and tell.
Yeah, we learned so much today. And
It's so
again,
fun.
for someone that doesn't, think a lot about gadgets, but I have a lot of athletes that do. So it's always like something for me that I'm learning too. But it's fun learning from you guys who like these things and like the data and the
I I know
and it is super helpful.
I laughed inside a little when I was texting Lindsay to ask her if she was going to bring gadgets because
I
I'm
was like, oh man.
much into gadgets.
Lindsay
You know,
doesn't need gadgets because
uh,
she's so fast and so strong. She doesn't
Yeah,
really
there you
need
go.
much.
listen, I try and there's so much, in life that we're always thinking about. Like our brains never turn off. And so running to me is just I try and keep it as simple as possible. And then when I have an issue, then I look for the gadget that's going to help. But
Right.
I love like the recovery gadgets too, or something I do have a lot of just because I'm a bodywork professional. But I love the sweat. I love all of that. And I guess I use, yeah, that one. I love things like that just because they are so helpful. And I guess my school of thought on just the electrolytes in general is I just love elements, so I just drink it anyway. but for somebody that isn't used to that saltiness or that how much they're actually losing, that is so helpful so that you can actually
Yeah.
see because I think it would shock a lot of people of how much they're actually sweating.
It
Right, right.
impressed upon me that I don't want to do this, but I have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I have to get this element down because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise I'm really going to be in deep trouble. So
Yeah.
I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to do this right now, you
Yeah.
And
know.
I think no matter what that gadget says, like, you have all your numbers and whatnot, but even if you never looked at those numbers more than once, I think it puts in your mind that you need to be
Yeah,
aware of your fueling.
absolutely.
So, like, even if you're not, for somebody maybe that struggles with getting calories or electrolytes and potassium, even if they just glance at it once and are aware of how much they're losing, and even if they can't replace everything, I think it's definitely a tool like to be aware of what's coming out that you need to be putting in. So
Mhm.
like a lot of times it's hard to make athletes like eat a certain number of carbs or calories or amount of electrolytes, but as long as they're aware of how much is going out, like you got to do something. You got to.
The thing about that tool is it makes it objective, right? The numbers don't lie. You can't argue with
Right,
it, right?
Yeah,
It's right there
right.
telling you like, hey, this is
yeah,
how much you lost. So it's
right.
easier to not argue
Super
with that than it
interesting.
is your crew members who are telling you, you know?
Yeah,
Just scratch the surface with this thing. I'm looking forward to just getting, a lot more data and a lot more information from this and then learning more about how I'm functioning and what's happening. And then I also want to stick it on athletes, because it's
yeah,
a mode where you can use this with a team, they call it. So you could, like, if you were a coach of a track team, you could stick this on an athlete and say, let's measure you for your next event. And then,
right,
so I could use this with other athletes and friends and stuff and, kind of get an idea about where they're at.
Right,
So,
right.
right. Yeah.
Fun.
Interesting.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys for sharing so much
Oh my gosh,
knowledge
this is so
today.
great.
So
Hmm.
I have one more last gadget, but it's a brand new gadget. So when I was asked to do three that were my favorite, I couldn't include this, but I did make a reel yesterday. It's called the Sidekick. So it's a balance board.
Huh.
And I'm having some mobility issues with my foot. And so
Oh,
Dr. Liesel Elsie suggested that I try this. So I got
Yeah.
it. It's actually pretty cool. You can use it for different things for
Huh.
ankle and foot mobility and strengthening,
Huh.
pronotal tendon. There's a lot of different places that you can place the pieces underneath the board to determine how your foot is going to rotate. So there, I do have a reel, so if people want to check it out, it's
Huh.
kind of cool. So I'll have to update on that. I couldn't call it my favorite yet because I just got it yesterday, but it is
Yeah.
fun to catch it.
Yeah, and I saw
Got
that too.
potential.
Yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
Loretta, is that the type of board that like has a guide like where your foot goes and then it has like rockers underneath
It's sort of it's
that
two
allow
pieces.
you to do this with
Has
it?
two
No?
Same concept. Yeah.
a long piece and a small piece that are hooked together so they're separated. And then there's
Oh,
some Velcro pieces that go underneath to
oh,
make it so there's different rocking points, I would say, on your under
oh.
your either your heel or your front of your foot. And
Hmm,
so I'm working on kind of getting that supination pronation back. And
hmm,
so it's allowing me to move back and forth. So
hmm.
Yeah. And give us an update on how you like it after you use it
yeah.
for a while.
So yeah, I'm excited to see it. I mean, I do have noticed in the few times that I've used it that my runs afterwards have been pain-free. So maybe I'm onto something. Maybe I'm, loosening that
Yeah.
up enough, to get it primed before I actually start running. So
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
yeah. But it was
This
nice
was
catching up with everyone.
this was
Yeah.
so fun, you guys. Thank you so much for inviting me. I love talking about this stuff and hearing what you guys are using and what you like and everything. And thank you so much. It's so
Yeah.
nice.
Thank you, Scott. Well, thank you for joining us on the Dirt Podcast. And if you like us, please subscribe and watch us on YouTube as well, correct, Loretta?
That's right. And tell all your friends.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye.
Scott.